Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video, doing JMA Friday for today's second video. So as always on a Friday, we're having a look at the weather for the month ahead with the Japanese and CFS meteorology, and I shall get on that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video today was a 6 AM upload, and also you've got 10 to 14 there coming up to you later on today. All the latest developments with the stratosphere included in that one as well, so please keep checking back to the channel for more. It has to scale things back a little bit this week in terms of the additions and the add-on videos, but everything will be back to normal next week. New Year's Eve tomorrow, so I'll tell you at the end of the video it's coming up on your New Year's Eve. Of course I will. Right, well, let's start JMA Friday there. We're going to begin having a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly for the coming week from the Arctic and North Pole view down from the JMA. So this is the North Pole just here. This is a wider Arctic circle around there, and they've got mid-latitudes around there. So blue is extrapolating to below average height, which is low pressure, yellow, orange, and red to above average heights, which is high pressure. As I say, these are broken down into a week periods. The first week period is going to take us from today, the 30th of December, through to the 6th of January. So the coming week we'll have low pressure to the north and also to the west too, with high pressure, ridge of high pressure sitting over to the east of the country, which means southern and east air should be dry. North and west air will be very unsettled, and it could be very mild as well. We'll be bringing up wind from a southwesterly direction there. Week 2 is going to be the 6th through the 13th of January. And not all that much change, actually, in the second week. So where are we going on? Tabs, there we go. Right, so, not for some reason I got 2 week ones up. How strange. Right, so, week 2 is going to be the 6th to the 13th of January. That threw me a little bit, sorry everybody. Right, so, week 2, 6th to the 13th of January, with below average heights out to west and above average heights over and to the east of the country. A little bit stronger with the ridge, a little bit further away with the trough. That should be a drier week, if anything, and still very mild. We'll be bringing up wind from a southerly to southwesterly direction again in that week. So, very mild first after January, definitely. And then changes week 3 and 4. This is the 13th, 27th of January into the second half of the month. It seems that the high pressure is becoming centred over Scandinavia, and this will start to turn wind around into the east potentially, and that could start to turn things much colder into the second half of January. We do need to generate some low pressure down here, of course, to tighten the gradient, but definitely hints that it's relatively dry, I would have thought, it's the second half of January, but potentially colder as the high pressure becomes focused on Scandinavia and winds turn into the east. Remember, that's a 2-week anomaly, might be transitional, so week 3 could still be relatively mild, and then week 4 we won't have Scandinavian High, something like that could be going on, but overall it looks like it turns colder to the second half of the month compared to the first half. Right, let's have a look at tropical and mid-latitude view then. So we can't see Greenland, Scandinavia, Iceland, all those areas off the chart up here. As we have a look at that view down, we know what's going on anyway. So this is back to week 1, the 30th of December, 6th of January, with low pressure to our west and high pressure both to our south and also to our east as well, and in comes those mild or very mild southwesterly winds. The temperature anomaly for week 1 is significantly above average by around 1 to 3 degrees above north. It is very, very mild opening to January. It's also wetter than average, particularly so in more northern and western areas. Week 2 will be the 6th to the 13th of January, with high pressure to our south and also away to the east. Lower pressure is out to the northwest, and up are coming those very mild southwesterly winds. The temperature anomaly remains significantly above average here from 6th to the 13th of January. So again, remains orange curves like 2 to 3 degrees above normal, especially for England and for Wales too. And it is again another wetter than average. I'm not sure about rainfall with this. I think for southern east areas it won't be as wet as this. Probably will be very wet though for more northern and western areas. And then we've got weeks 3 and 4, which is the 13th, 27th of January, with the high pressure becoming focused on Scandinavia. We can just make it out there. So if you think Scandinavia will be up here, that's where the high pressure centre is reaching into the country, but it should be turning wind into a colder east or northeasterly. The temperature anomaly is lowering, not going colder than average, not at this stage, but it is significantly lower for weeks 3 and 4 compared to weeks 1 and 2. The warmth is being centred down to the southeastern part of Europe. And the precipitation is going drier than average as well. I think it turns colder into the second half of January with that, and it just depends, how much of an easterly we pick up courtesy of the Scandinavian High there. Right, let's compare CFS V2, see what that's doing. So again, it's a 500 millibar high thermometer. They're broken down into weekly periods. So the first week period takes us from the 30th of December to 5th of January. The coming week has lots of low pressure away to the north and the northwest, high pressure into the south and southeast, and winds are coming up from a mild or very mild southwesterly direction. Week 2 will be the 6th to the 12th of January, again with lots of low pressure. Excuse me, lots of low pressure away to our north and west, high pressure over to our south and east. So weeks 1 and 2 basically very mild and most unsettled to the north and to the west. Week 3 is going to be the 13th to the 19th of January. Low pressure is right in over top of the country, and high pressure pulling out into the Atlantic. Very unsettled in this week, and a bit cooler as well as the wind goes on a northwest southeast alignment with jet stream. So unsettled, wet and cold probably through the middle part of January. And then week 4 is going to be the 20th to 26th of January. Look at this, building up high pressure in northern Scandinavia, reaching that south. So we're still not really getting wind into the east at that point. I imagine there's warm air advection going on with low pressure around Greenland, Iceland. The high pressure is weakening towards Spain as well, by the way. So that could be starting to get into a scenario where that high pressure builds up over Scandinavia and gets the wind into the east. So again, the signals are there, perhaps for some sort of high pressure over Scandinavia later on in January, in the final week or 10 days or so. The temperature anomaly for week 1 is substantially above average, a very mild week to come. And week 2 also looks very mild as well. This is the 6th to 12th of January. That one also looking significantly mild average. Look how warm it is across most parts of Europe. Wow, wow, wow. Week 3 is going to be the 13th to the 19th of January. Still a bit above average, but lowering the temperature off. That's a much more unsettled week, of course. It doesn't go with jet stream coming southwards in that week too. And then week 4, no sign of it turning cold, but it is not as mild as it is early on in the month. 20th, 26th of January, slightly above average temperatures. I would be looking to start getting some colder air in from the east and northeast if wind goes into that easterly direction via that Scandinavian high. And precipitation-wise, week 1, 30th, 5th of January. 1st December, 5th of January, wetter than average in the weekend, very wet into week 2 as well, 6th to the 12th of January, that one also with above average rainfall. Week 3 is the 13th to the 19th of January. Weaker signal, of course, as it's week 3, but still looks as though it's pretty much above average, really, with rainfall. And then week 4 is the 20th, 26th of January. And, there's not much of a signal by that point, but I would expect it to turn a bit drier by that point as high pressure starts building over Scandi. Right, so we've got a pretty good agreement actually between the two models in terms of the overall trend for January. The January trend looks like it's going to be very mild and unsettled in the first half, up to mid-month anyway, looking mild and wet. And then the second half of the month potentially change to higher pressure towards Scandinavia. How much that high pressure towards Scandinavia, whether it gets a wind from the south to the southeast to the east, remains to be seen how strongly high pressure takes over Scandinavia. We could say mild with this, with high pressure over Scandinavia, low pressure just to our west. keep pulling up southerly winds and throwing in further bands of rain. That is always a possibility with high pressure over Scandinavia. If the high pressure takes over, and that keeps it wet and mild, if the high pressure takes over strongly enough, it could get wind into the southeast, which is a cooler direction, frost and fog. And if it takes over, really takes over, it could get the wind into the east, which will be a much colder wind direction. It'll pull wind in from Russia, and we will go off and running into our next cold spell through the probably final week, 10 days of January. So, we've got to wait and see how it all works out, and we'll be keeping you posted on that at GavsWeatherVids. Most just a snapshot of what these two models are showing. They could look completely different when we look at them next week. That's how they're looking today. So, let's wait and see. We're going to be back shortly with a 10 to 14 day. That will include all of the regular features, so come back for that then for this week's JMA Friday, for the final JMA Friday of 2022. That's all for now, and thank you so much for watching. And I'll tell you what's coming up on New Year's Eve tomorrow at the end of the 10 to 14 day, by the way. I think I'm going to tell you what's coming up at the end of this video, but that'll be at the end of the 10 to 14 day. The next video imminently, and I shall see you very shortly for that. But JMA Friday this week, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.